Wagwan people, welcome back to not another Formula One podcast. We are at the Hungarian for the 2025 Formula One Bombaclat Pussy Wagon Hungarian Grand Prix. Woo! Alright, yeah. Sorry I killed your mic there. Yeah, welcome back to not another Formula One podcast. We're at Hungary, dude. Hungaroring. What else can I say about it besides the fact that it's just another track with no overtaking? Let's get right into the weekend here. Actually, we'll get into the pre-race weekend. Max Verstappen confirmed staying for 2026. He said in the press that he is looking very forward to settling out the bullshit that's happening with Red Bull in the past couple of seasons and really straightening it out. He also admitted that there's a slim goddamn chance that him or really anyone in Red Bull, and even if Yuki were to get his shit together, there's a slim chance that they're gonna win a race the rest of the season, which is depressing if you're like me and you're a Verstappen fan, because you think he could probably get at least one more really good, banging a qualifying, lucky little P1, then hold it, get the strategy right. Hopefully Red Bull doesn't fuck up the strategy or something at a track where overtaking is difficult, much like the Hungaroring. But anyways, let's get into the weekend. Free practice 1, Lando, Oscar, and Charles. And to repeat myself, free practice 2, Lando, Oscar, and Charles. And then in FP3, just to switch it up a little bit, the front two decided to flip, and it went Oscar, Lando, Charles Leclerc. Wow, man, the Ferrari might actually have pace now. Wow. Who knew? Qualifying? Charles Leclerc on pole? Huh? By a little bit margin, too. I mean, I think the top 5 was split by 0.05 of a second or some shit. I think even Verstappen in P8 was only 0.3 off a pole. Very slim margins, and congrats to Charles Leclerc for pulling that one out of his ass. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris start 2nd and 3rd respectively. Then you got George Russell in 4th, Fernando Alonso in 5th, Lance Stroll in 6th. Excuse me? I mean, apparently, what is that guy's name? Mike Crook? Something. I don't know, nor do I care. He just said that, the car really suits this circuit, so I guess this might be a little one-off thing. I'd imagine, Fernando is in a bit of some form right now, but this car has to be working. This car has to have come alive, in my opinion, if you're going to get not one, but both drivers into Q3 and start 5th and 6th. They can hang their hat on that one, I suppose. 7th place, Gabby Bortoleto in the Sauber? Excuse me? This kid's really, I said this last week, and I'll say it again. Where Nico Hülkenberg is falling short, dude, this kid is picking up the slack. Max Verstappen starting in a lowly 8th. Depressing, but we move on. 9th and 10th place, respectively, Liam Lawson and Isaac Hadjar. Good to see those two boys putting it into Q3. They had very, very different race days, though. I'll get into that later. Lewis Hamilton botched his qualifying again. He'll start P12. He was really hard on himself in the press after, something like calling himself completely useless. something like saying maybe Ferrari should find another driver, hence kicking himself out. Because I mean, the other car's on pole. So what's he doing wrong? I don't know, Big Louie. I think you just need to get your mojo back, my guy. But enough of that bullshit. Let's get into the race, baby. The race. Charles Leclerc held the lead into turn one. Not holding his position, Lando Norris managed to somehow lose out 2 positions at the start to George Russell and Fernando Alonso. He eventually got Alonso back, which put him in like podium potential. And was chasing George Russell for a bit. Was told like, "Hey, come on, Lando, we gotta pass George like right now." And he either just couldn't, or maybe he was just managing the tires for the one stop. All right, guys, let's talk about the one stop. So obviously, the one stop, in theory, is always going to be faster than the 2 stop. I think going into the weekend, historically, this being a 2 stop track, the teams kind of thought, okay, we have to do a 2 stop because the tire is going to wear. Apparently, the weather was nice, I guess. Like, it wasn't too hot, so the tires didn't deg as much. Thus, you could extend a stint a little further than they probably would have liked. Actually, no, I think they liked it just right because that shit worked. I'll get into that later, though. Nico Hulkenberg gets a penalty. Got penalized for a false start. That was like, I think he got a 5-second penalty. I mean, he was starting at the back anyway, so who really gives a shit? The stewards thought that Bortoleto did the same thing. But luckily that was brushed aside and his race was kept alive. This race wasn't very alive. This was kind of boring as shit. Actually, Max was making moves. Maybe like 2 or 3 at that, that cool little double chicane up in Sector 2. Making moves. Good for Max, I guess. But what does it matter when you're only in like P7, P8? At this point, I mean, I think Charles Leclerc had like a 3-second gap on Oscar Piastri, which, when you consider the performance of the McLarens this year and how quickly they seem to catch up to everybody who's in front of them, this was wild to see. And at some point, I genuinely started thinking, like, hey, Charles can win this race, doggy. What could possibly go wrong? Most of the drivers started making their first pit stops around, like, I don't know, I think it was lap 17-ish. And most notably, Lando Norris stays out, and he takes the lead. Bro stayed out until, like, lap 30, 31. I think he pitted lap 31. Thus having to do another 39 laps on hard tires, which was possible given the circumstances. And, after he pitted on lap 30, came out in 4th behind George Russell, I think, right in front of Fernando. This was a pivotal move, though, because Charles Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, George Russell, they all pitted twice. So, Lando becoming the de facto race leader. And he's got to make a stop, and everyone behind him still got to make a stop. Shit worked out right. Not so right, though. Charles Leclerc. Buddy. That's depressing. I don't know exactly what was wrong with this car. I saw a lot of discussion on the internet, it's the tire pressure when they went on the third stint, or it was like plank wear that caused him to have to like limit his drive and slow down or some shit. I don't know, dude, but it just seems like Ferrari are gonna fucking Ferrari, you know what I'm saying? This happens all the time. There's really no escaping the Ferrari. You want to love them, but you can't. You just can't. Charles just really fucking crashed out here. It was bad, dude. I think he was trying to kill George Russell. At the final turn, by the start of the pit lane entry, not once but twice, on back-to-back laps, Charles Leclerc managed to, basically try to kill George Russell as he tried to go down the inside. Not a good look, Charles. It's really not a good look. Eventually, after lots and lots of complaining and blimies, George gets the overtake done. Ripping that P3 from Claire like candy from a baby. Where's that meme at? You know the one I'm talking about. This one, yeah. At this point, like, Oscar's fresher hards seem to be catching up to Lando's older hards. And thus, the final 5 laps were really just a chase down for the lead. On lap 69, Oscar decides he wants to eat Lando's ass from the back at turn 1. Because that was way too close. I'm honestly more amused they didn't work. I'm surprised Oscar didn't go right into the back of Lando there at that move. But that was about Oscar's only hope, dude, because Lando miraculously, but honestly rather impressively, wins the Hungarian Grand Prix. Dude, fucking McLaren. You think they would have done the same? You think they would have done the same if it was like, the roles were reversed, like it was Lando where Oscar is and Oscar where Lando is? Would they have given Oscar the one stop? I don't know. It's hard to say. You can't say that the one stop was seemingly or projectedly the better strategy. It's kind of a hindsight thing. I think it's something that they waited until they got into the race. Lando had a bad hand and somehow made the best out of it. And I think that's really only due to McLaren's execution of pitting him 31 laps into his medium stint. But it is what it is. Post-race, give you a top 10 finishers. As I just said, Lando Norris in first, and I mean wow. Wow. That's 4 wins. No, that's 3 wins in 4 races for the Brit. Closing down that championship gap to 9 points. Second place, Oscar Piastri. I already know Big Buddy is pissed. I mean, you saw him in the cool-down room. He didn't really want to say shit. And, of course, it's got to be George Russell in the cool-down room. That's got to, like, break the tension between these two fucking McLaren boys. Speaking of George Russell, yes, he finished 3rd. He was on the podium. And I'm sure he's just happy to be here. That is all. Charles Leclerc. Oh, what a horribly depressing race for Charles. Whatever the issue is with that car, that in the second stint that he was so distressed about, obviously it must have really fucked things up because Buddy fell off. I think by the time the race was over, barring his 5-second penalty that he got for trying to kill George Russell, I think he was 45 seconds off the race lead. Bad. Big up the Fernando Alonso. Sorry. Daddy of the day, in my opinion, 5th place, dude. 5th place? Fernando Alonso. Really held up the best of the rest. Just classic Fernando Alonso DRS train. I mean, I'm pretty sure he did the same exact goddamn thing for, what was his name? Esteban Ocon. That's right. What was that? 2021, 2022? When he, held up the pack so that Esteban could, get that first place. Yes. I think. Was it that race? I don't know. Fernando Alonso, though, skilled defender. And my driver of the day. Very close second, my driver of the day. The world's driver of the day, per the voting, the fan vote. 6th place, Gabby Bortoleto. Congrats to the kid, dude. Consistency is something that not a lot of drivers seem to have. Now, and I'm sure that now that I've mentioned this, he'll probably fall off the fucking truck. But the kid's been consistent, and I'm happy for him. He definitely has all the makings of, maybe future world champion. I mean, he was junior Formula back-to-back champion, so there's something to that, A lot of the great drivers were Formula 3 and Formula 2 champions. 7th place, Lance Stroll. I don't really give a shit. Congrats on the double points finish for the team, I guess, but I could give a fuck less about Lance Stroll finishing 7th. 8th place, Liam Lawson finishing ahead of the senior car. Wowza. Lawson seems to have been on a tear lately. Seems to have absorbed all of Isaac Hadjar's point scoring luck. I believe there's only 2 points difference between the teammates now, which is insane considering when you think about how, Isaac started the season, real bad start in Australia. Really didn't even start the race. And of course, Liam, Hadjar had the bad Australia and then had a really good run throughout this first half of the season. Liam Lawson seems to have done the opposite, but he had the most shittest start. Got demoted from Red Bull after 2 races. Really didn't do too hot at VCARB for the last, 10, 11 races after that. Well, no, maybe 9. But I tell you what, man, the last, ever since Monaco, I think he's found a groove. I read reports online, something about how Liam is very pleased with the car. I think it's something to do with the suspension. I want to say that the suspension, he was trying it in the simulator. They got it. It's upgraded. It works great. And he is ecstatic about this upgrade. And we're seeing him genuinely get points out of the car now, which is confidence building, I'm sure. And really leaves me more under the impression that VCARB are looking to maintain both drivers for next year. Because why would they go all this way to make Liam Lawson so happy? And Isaac too, if they were just going to bring Arvid Lindblad in next year and give the other one the boot. I don't know. Good for Liam, though. Congrats. 9th place, Max Verstappen. Now, he'd be the first guy to admit that the car wasn't there today. He was complaining no grip or something was the issue all the weekend. Not to mention the 2-stop that was not the best strategy. The incident with Lewis Hamilton at that turn, to which was kind of bullshit. Let the boys race, goddammit. Let them boys race. Tired of this shit. I'm tired of trying to see Max make some fucking moves. And the stewards are like, you weren't all the way alongside him. Can't do that. You forced him off the track. Motherfucker, he was in there. I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. He got a 5-second penalty from this shit. And, I don't know, despite the moves he was making, ninth was the best he could do. 10th place, the best he can do at this time, Kimi Antonelli. Oh, God, this kid has needed some fortune in recent weeks, really ever since Canada. This is his first point since Canada. And while this point is nice, seeing his teammate on the podium, his confidence is surely hurting. But maybe it'll come back. I don't know. He's just a kid. Anywho, my 3 predictions for Hungary were that Max would be on pole with a win. Hell nah. Not even close. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, he doesn't seem to think he'll win a race at all again this year. So that's wonderful. My second prediction, Oscar Piastri will finish second. So yes, actually, I got that right. That's a coincidence. I mean, nothing else, no other contingencies, just Oscar Piastri will finish second place. And he did. Now, granted, probably should have won. Had Lando been on the same strategy as Oscar would have won. Because Charles would have fallen off regardless. But anywho, yeah. Pat on my back for getting that one right. Did not... Oh, God. My third prediction was Lewis Hamilton gets his first Ferrari podium. Oh, brother. Anywho, yeah, we're back in the Netherlands on August 29th through the 31st. My 3 predictions for Zandvoort are that 1, Lando will get the championship lead back for the first time since God, I don't even know how long. Pretty sure Oscar's been in the lead since like race 3 or 4. Something like that. But yeah, Lando, I don't know what'll happen. I'm not saying Lando will win. I'm not saying Oscar will DNF, but 9 points isn't that much. And I feel like even if, Lando were to win and Oscar were to get third, that's still the difference. Anywho, my second prediction. Both Alpines will be managed to make it out of Q1, but then nothing else will come of that. And I know that's a strange prediction, but Alpine lately, if they can get the car right, their engine is a piece of shit. There's no denying that. But Zandvoort's very much a downforce-driven track, and I feel like maybe, just maybe, if Alpine can fucking just get the car in the right window, then maybe they'll get out of Q1, both of them. Maybe Pierre will get a point. Maybe Colapinto will get a point. I doubt it. In fact, I'm pretty sure Franco Colapinto is the only driver currently on the grid without a single point. And that's not me saying that Franco Colapinto is not a good driver. Please don't come at me, Argentina. But he's certainly not getting the best out of the Alpine like he was able to do with the Williams last year during that small little stint. Yeah, and my third and final prediction for Zandvoort is that Fernando Alonso will get like 5th again. Maybe like I want to say top 5, but I'd say just 5th because I really don't think that's a top 4 car. But if he got 5th this week, I'm sure he can do it again at Zandvoort because he's just that dog. I will give you the current top 3 in the Drivers and Constructors Championship, and then we'll get this show on the road. Well, the show's already been on the road. We'll get the fuck out of here is what we're going to do. Oscar Piastri in first place, leading the championship with 284 points, with Lando Norris 9 points behind at 275. Sitting almost 100 points behind second place Max Verstappen with 187, having only gotten 2 pitiful little points out of this weekend. Better than nothing, I guess. Constructors-wise, McLaren wholly dominating with 559 points to second place Ferrari's 260. Can you believe that shit? That's over double. Over double. And third place Mercedes with 236. What can I say? We're a little over the halfway. See, we're entering the summer break now. We got 3 weeks until Zandvoort. I know I'm going to enjoy this vacation, not having to wake up at 4 in the morning like I'm doing now just to record this shit. Enjoy your summer break. We'll be back, badder than ever, hotter than ever, in Zandvoort. Wagwan, people. Toodles.